Hi, this is Nick Astor with TriplePundit.com. I'm here at BSR 2012 in New York. I'm here with Steve Howard. He is the CEO, COO of sustainability for IKEA. Steve, thanks a lot for joining me. What is a COO of sustainability?
It's a good question. Now, I sit in executive management in IKEA Group, so it's the sort of 9-10 people that lead IKEA Group, and I represent sustainability. So I look at what does it mean for our range, what does it mean for our operations, what does it mean for our relationships with the people that help make our products around the world, and make sure that we take appropriate actions, that we lead wherever we can. And so you're there to ensure that we have a strategic approach as a business to addressing sustainability, and you're there in every executive boardroom meeting.
So speaking of strategy, you've just launched a new campaign called People and Planet Positive. Is that the right terminology? Tell us a little bit about that and how it breaks down.
Well, IKEA, like many companies, had a long history of working on environmental and social issues, but we decided it was the time to take the next big step and really look at how do you, if you take the wider society issues at the moment, we're using about 1.5 planets' resources. We're on track for 6 degrees Celsius warming. Sooner or later, if you keep on that path for long enough, you get where you're going. And we've got 3 billion people coming out of poverty and joining the global middle classes over the next 20 years, 15 to 20 years. So, and that's fantastic for people coming out of poverty. But if you think already over consuming planets, we need to reduce carbon. It's on our watch. It's right now that sustainability is no longer an option. It's actually, it has to be every product. It has to be every impact that you have. So People and Planet Positive has 3 areas. It's how we work with our customers and help them live a more sustainable life at home. We have 770 million visitors a year, and we know they actually care about sustainability.
These are folks coming to the stores, or this is website, customers in general?
No, there's more than 1 billion people go to the website, and but no, this is visitors in stores, 770 million, and frequently people look to IKEA for quite a significant part of their home furnishing, and we know they care about sustainability. Interestingly enough, IKEA customers care about sustainability more than non-IKEA customers, and I don't understand that why. But whether you're in Beijing or Boston, people care about sustainability, but they want it to be affordable, accessible, attractive, and easy for them. They don't want this to be sort of luxury green premium products. So we're committed to say let's make sure sustainability isn't a luxury good, that it's affordable for the many people.
That's point number 1, reach the customer.
Reach the customer, and we can come back to that. I think it's a really important point. But the second point, make our operations completely sustainable. Energy independence and resource independence. So we're investing heavily in renewable energy. We've got wind farms in 6 countries. We've put solar panels in the US. More than 80% of our buildings in the US, our stores, distribution centers, and facilities have got solar PV on them now. And worldwide, we've put in, today, it's 342,000 solar panels, so quite a lot of solar panels. Actually, when you buy that many, you get them for a good price.
Right.
And so we can really look at the next wave of investment in that. And by 2015, we'll go 70% renewable. By 2020, we'll be 100% renewable. And we love the sun. I'm from the UK. We have more wind than sun in the UK, but we love wind too. When you can get power that's never going to run out, we're not going to have peak sun. So we can have clean power, which we control, and we can, in the long term, that will serve our business and our customers well.
Makes sense. You've got a lot of big roofs.
We have plenty of roofs, and the roofs. Each roof is a potential power station in the making. So it's like a fallow field that's not been planted if you've not got solar PV on it. So it's exciting for us, and we'll do much more of that. And we're doing that into our supply chain as well, looking at how we can take energy efficiency and solar panels in there. And also looking at sustainable resources. How do we make sure we get FSC certified wood and set strong targets for that? So we'll be the leading retailer of certified wood, I think, by within a few years in terms of volumes, 10 million cubic meters. It's a lot of wood.
Now, so in terms of this energy independence initiative, where are we at now in terms of the percentage that you could realistically go with the solar, and what's making up the rest of it?
Well, solar, it depends. Like if you're a store in some areas, stores use quite a lot of energy. Even when you do, we're swapping out all of the light bulbs. 1.2 million light sources we're swapping out in our own stores around the world. and going LED. So that saves a lot of energy. That's 10% energy off straight away. But you still, a store uses quite a large amount of energy. So you can only do 5, 10, 20% with your own solar. You need off-site renewable energy for a store. Distribution centres, with less energy use, you can export energy. So some of our distribution centres are power stations providing clean energy for the surrounding community effectively.
And you've already achieved that in some of these centres?
Yes. Like some are Savannah Savannah, Georgia distribution centre. That's the largest solar installation in the state of Georgia. Actually, a couple of are in Illinois, where we've got a couple of the largest, I think they're the two, number 1 and number 2 largest solar installations in Illinois. Because you've got big roofs, you can do this. But we will need the wind, so that's why we've been investing in wind. And when everything's spinning that we've got today, so we've got some of the wind farms are constructed, and some, we need to, they're being built over the next year or two. So the investments we've currently made take us over a third of the way there already. So we need to do about as much again. So if you're into megawatts, it's 220 megawatts or so that we've got so far. Right. About 180s wind and 40s PV, just a little over 40. We'll more than double that by 2015, and then we'll actually have to kind of double it again because the business is growing at the same time by 2020. So we're a power producer.
So we're well on the road to meeting goal number 2, which truly is you will satisfy your energy needs.
Yes, and we've provisioned over $2 billion to invest by 2015. I mean, I think that's where you have to say we need to be as businesses today. What are these critical issues that we've got, and then how do you do something that just makes them go away and turns them into a positive? So rather than reduce our carbon emissions incrementally or do something marginal, let's focus on a few big things and then put resources behind them. But energy prices are going to go up. That's clear. And carbon pricing, even in the US, carbon pricing will come at some point, but in much of the world you can see in different places carbon pricing coming up. So you can construct the business case. That's not the reason we did it. We actually started off from a values-driven point of view on this. But carbon pricing and rising electricity prices create a great business case to say, let's secure our own clean energy.
Excellent. Now, point number 3, I believe, is internal. It's the employees. Tell us a little bit about that.
Point number 3 is we have obviously 140,000 co-workers who, and they are IKEA. And then we have 600,000 tier 1 suppliers, people working in the factories that are not IKEA-owned factories, that are helping make our products and delivering value for customers. If you go back to the cotton fields, there's a couple of million people involved in cotton production for IKEA. So how do we make sure what we've done is through our own code of conduct, we've made sure that we've got 100% compliance in tier 1 factories, and that's transformed workers' lives. So you've seen real reduction in working hours, guaranteed proper time off, people being paid what they're due properly and paid overtime, social insurance, and all the other working conditions and environmental improvements in a factory. But that's just in tier 1, the suppliers. We focused on some areas like cotton, where with cotton we're 1/3 or so better cotton, where you've got, we'll get to 100% by 2015. Better cotton.
What does that mean, better cotton?
Better cotton is if you ordinary cotton that was produced, and not, it's different in different places. So it's heavily industrialized in the US, it's industrial agriculture in the US and in China to some extent. If you're in South Asia, you've got lots of smallholders mostly, and there's a history of significant use of child labour, and there's not very good agricultural practices, and that's actually lots of the developing world is like that. So you have flood irrigation, lots of pesticides used, health problems for people and children not being educated frequently and involved in labour. It's not a great story. Better cotton is a transformation. So you halve pesticides, you reduce fertilisers by 1/3, you halve water inputs, and you secure that kids are in school getting a good education rather than involved in the picking, and the yields go up. So the farmers I've met and spent time with in India, they really like this. It's not going to go away. They're not doing it because they're being forced to do it. They just see it's a great idea. And also the villagers, we've worked with UNICEF and Save the Children funding initiatives to secure children's protection committees in towns and villages, education committees and school committees, to get this really transform the school environment, and let people take on pride, and that the communities are taking ownership of realizing the future of their communities is having great, well-educated kids. So better cotton is a radical improvement, and it's exciting to work on that because you're transforming. That's impacting the quality of life of millions of people. And you've got, I have, and my colleagues have a sense of urgency. You set stretch targets, and you can always trip up. And there's a anxiety inside the business of, well, if we set 100%, what happens if we don't get there? And we'll get really criticised. And I said, well, we'll do our very, very best. And if we don't, we'll say what we've done. So if we get to 95%, we'll be honest about it, and we'll keep going. But I think we should get to 100% with cotton. And so looking at all of the people involved in our value chain and saying, okay, we've secured good conditions, but what's the next level of leadership beyond that? How do we make sure we're really respecting human rights and children's rights and dealing with complex issues like migrant workers, where migrant workers in some parts of the world are separated from their kids. So you can secure the conditions in the factories for people, but what about the children that are left at home with relatives? What's in their best interest? And as a progressive business, what's the steps you can make to help make their lives better and the people who are effectively working in your value chain, make it easy for them too? And that can involve relocating to different areas, working with suppliers to have factories that are closer to workers. It brings some interesting decisions there. What we've seen through reducing working hours is actually more and more people starting to have their kids with them, because if you're working 90 hours and nobody is in the IKEA value chain today, as much as you can say, nobody, even with 80 auditors and nearly 1,000 unannounced audits. The reason why you audit is because there's a risk of something going wrong. But if people are working 90 hours or something and there's no time off, there's no way they can bring their kids up. But when people's hours come down to decent working hours and they've got guaranteed time off and vacation time that's paid, suddenly there's a fantastic opportunity there. And so I think we need the next level of progress in this, and that's a long journey on that. So the three things: more sustainable life at home. Really, I'm excited there because we can almost make more difference with our customers in their home. Just LEDs. I'm obsessed with LED lights because we had the incandescent light bulb missold. Really, it should have been sold as a heater, which produces some light. That was the honest thing. It
works very well as a heater.
It's a great heater, yeah. And so incandescent light bulbs is past its sell-by date. It's time to go. The CFL has been good, and they've got better. It's the CFL, the compact fluorescent, but it's still quality of light-wise not quite there. And so LEDs will last. They'll last 20 years. So if you think of that, your kids, if you've got kids, your kids could go to school, they could go to college, they could get married, they could come back, maybe they even bring grandkids or something, and you can have the same LED light or lamp saving you energy, and it's the one you installed when they were at home with you. You could have swapped your cell phone 5 times, you could have swapped your car 3 times in that period, and you'll have a product saving you energy every day for that period, versus sort of the incandescents, which are almost a consumable, and there's still 12 billion incandescents installed in the world. If we could get rid of them, actually you'd save the emissions, the CO2 emissions of a big US state. Yeah. The Netherlands, you could actually save the CO2 emissions greater than a country like the Netherlands, and that's saving people money. And what we've looked at through doing these sort of things like induction hobs, the new fast food, is the pasta you cook yourself at home on your induction hob. It cooks more than twice as fast as another electric hob, and saves you 40% energy at the same time. This is sustainability that's more affordable, more attractive. It's better. This is exciting. If you put these things together, people can save 30% off their energy bills, and it's like having a 10% pay rise for the average family. You don't really have to care about the planet to want a 10% pay rise, and if you care about the planet, it's a bonus. So what we can do there to lead on the most efficient products that are great from a functionality point of view and get them to the lowest price possible, I'm excited about that, because that could really set things going. But then you have to set definitive targets. So we are basically banning halogens over the next 2-3 years in the business. Where we're going to offer LEDs alongside halogens and CFLs. We're going 100% LED by 2016, and we'll get most of the way
That's a big revolution because I always associate
Yeah.
IKEA with those classic halogen lamps historically
Yeah.
back in the day. But
I mean, and halogens were a fantastic innovation when they came out,
Yeah.
but they are like incandescent bulbs. They're a heater that produces a little bit of light,
Yeah.
and they burn out fast. You know, if you went in, you'd need to buy 27 halogen bulbs to last as long as your one LED.
yeah,
It's a marketing challenge because the LEDs, it's a different product,
Yeah.
and the inherent costs are still more. But actually, the value proposition is fantastic because you know you're not going to have to replace it for a long, long time, and it saves you so much energy. Those sort of things, if you think of the potential, when we go 100% behind something, then maybe somebody else outcompetes us on price over time. Then the customer wins. If not, then we'll still be lowering the price as much as we can on these things, so that it's not for the lucky few that have LEDs, it's everybody.
Steve, thanks so much. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of the incredible complexity that your company reaches, and that it represents this big problem that we have that we know as sustainability. And it's really good to hear that you've thought so much about all of these issues, and I thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, Nick.